welcome. It is the 22nd annual Garden State Film Festival. 200 films from over 14 countries, all happening March 21st to the 24th this year. I am your host, Emily DeSimone, and I am here with director, writer, and the actress playing Lisa, Carrie Lynn Miller of the film The Luckiest Man Alive. Thank you so much for joining me, Carrie. Can you give our live audience a bit about your film?
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. This is great, Emily. Thank you so much for having me and interviewing me. The Luckiest Man is about a woman who's preparing for her 10-year anniversary with the love of her life. And I'm just going to say that for right now because I don't want to give it away.
Ooh. Well, could you give maybe some insight into the inspiration that you had to make this
Yeah,
film?
absolutely. So I was watching a short film with some friends, and it was basically about this older couple who were madly in love, and the woman passed away, and the husband kept bringing her after she was dead in her bed, kept bringing her breakfast in the morning, and had a really hard time letting go of the love of his life. And his kids were coming to take him to a nursing home, and he had a hard time also like going to the next phase of his life. So he ended up burying himself in the backyard with his wife because he just didn't want to go on. And there was just something so touching about that because it's like we all know how it feels to have that one person that, your life would just shatter without. And, and we all have to deal with loss at some point in our lives. And this character that I play has a really difficult time with that. And it's really a study about denial and that the pain of losing is so much worse than actually, facing it. So instead of facing it, just to stay in denial is kind of what this character does.
Could you tell us a bit about what this filming process was like, filming such a deep emotional topic?
Yeah, sure. It was a lot of fun actually because it was a dark comedy, so it's very much rooted in truth. But we were able to really go to extremes with it. So it was a lot of fun to do as an actor. It was fun to write it, and it was really fun to direct it as well. I had a great group of people around me who really took hold of the vision, so that when I was in front of the camera, I felt really safe and trusted that the vision was getting carried out. But really, it's just drop it, being able to where for me the biggest challenge was being able to drop in as an actress and then also being able to switch hats when it comes to like directing or looking at the monitor and making sure that we get all the shots. So again, it was like so helpful to have such an amazing team around me because it just can't it takes a village and you can't, without them it would have been nothing. So it's great.
Well, speaking of team, where did you find, your crew that helped you out with this and, everyone that you worked with on this project?
So the story, it was interesting. I wrote this story, and I was talking to a good friend of mine, Neil Grabowski, who is in the industry. He's a gaffer. He's kind of like a jack of all trades, and he's got his own production company through the Lens. And I was telling him about this, and he was like, "Oh, this sounds like a really cool idea. I want to pitch it to a couple of the people that he works with." So he pitched it to our producer Tristan Stafford, and everybody really seemed to jive with the idea and the story. So it was really happened so fast. It was like, we had this script and then Neil came on board, then Tristan came on board. And the next thing I knew, we were like, okay, look, this is the date. This is what we're doing. And it just kind of steamrolled forward. So it was kind of just like a testament to like when it's ready and it's right, the universe kind of puts it together for you. So it was kind of magical.
I mean, speaking of magical, do you have a favorite part of the film or the process of it that like you would say was your favorite and maybe like your least favorite part of the process?
I think my favorite part was the scene between Matt Walton and I. Matt Walton's a fantastic actor. He was so good in this. And there's a scene where we're in the shower, and my character has a really bad migraine. And it's just a really touching scene between husband and wife of how well these two people were in tune with each other and knew, um, just knew when somebody was, when the other was feeling down and when to come in and kind of uplift them. So for me, that was like a really touching moment that gave us a good snapshot into the lives and the love of the characters. So that was a touching scene for me and fun to play. And then one of the craziest scene was when I throw up because there's this moment. So Tristan, our producer, was like, "Yeah, you got to really make it look real. So why don't you just chew this stuff up and like leave it out?" So I was like, okay. So I ran into the bathroom to go vomit, and I ended up slipping, hitting my head on like the stool.
No.
It was so bad. I had like this mark on my forehead, and it just like stuff went everywhere. So that take, obviously, we did not take, but that was probably my favorite part, just because it was painful and it hurt. But still, but comical now, telling it later. But
I mean, that's so funny that you say that because I mean, like, how many films are there bloopers where someone gets hurt and it gets thrown, in? But I'm glad you're okay. So, but with that said, it seems as though you've been doing this for quite some time. I mean, can you talk about your background in the film industry and where you've come from and maybe a challenge you've faced in the film industry that's made you a stronger filmmaker now?
yeah, sure. I kind of came into the industry much later. I actually went to college to be a doctor. And I remember I had to take this monologue class as an elective, and I really just fell in love with acting. And so after I graduated, I went back to school at William Esper Studio and studied with Terry Knickerbocker in the Meisner program there, and just fell in love with acting. And you know, I started doing some stuff like guest stars and TV shows, like Blue Bloods and um, some other shows. And then one thing kind of led to another where I found myself being really interested in storytelling and writing. And it was around that time I was pregnant. I got pregnant, and I wasn't auditioning and stuff. So I was like, oh, let me try my hand at writing. And let me tell you, writing is hard. It is, I think, the hardest thing that I've had to learn. And I had my tushy handed to me many a times at writers groups where, I was working with people who were much more established, like Nickel Fellowship winners. And you really just learn by the process of failing and being told what you're doing wrong and really learning structure and stuff. So that was a process for me to learn in order to be able to begin writing and storytelling. This is my third short film. The first one, Etymology, I produced and starred in, and then the last two I wrote and directed and starred in. So it's been like an evolution, but I think at the heart of it is, I'm just a storyteller. I feel like I have a lot to say, and maybe not everybody always wants to listen to it at the times, but I just really enjoy expressing and connecting, and it just lights my heart up whenever I get the opportunity to do that. Um, so yeah, I forget what your second part of the question was.
Oh, a challenge that you've faced in your time being a filmmaker that you think has made you, stronger. Like I know you said that, you've had your tush handed to you, and I mean there is no, I mean there are successes without failures, but I mean I feel like most successes come after failures. But I mean, like what is a piece of advice perhaps you could give to someone who's new and starting out, a challenge you faced that you overcame that made you stronger now?
Yeah. I would say many years ago, as an actor, I signed on to do this feature film, and it's so important to really know who you're working with, and that the people you're working with have integrity. Um, to make a long story short, it was a film about bank robbers, like a team of bank robbers, and one of the folks was supposed to get a permit for Jersey City to let everybody know that we were going to be in a white unmarked van wearing masks and fake guns and get a permit for that. And they never got a permit. And I will never forget the day that I had a gun pointed at me because they thought that I was really like a bank robber. So that was the scariest point in my life, but it also taught me such a huge lesson about when something feels off, just always going with your gut and really making sure that you're with people that you like and trust and that have integrity. Um, and don't be afraid to walk away from something because sometimes you feel like, oh, this is going to be my last thing and I'll never get it. And I remember I admire one of the other actresses so much that she had just the confidence to say this doesn't feel right, and she walked away and she's got this amazing career now. But I remember at the time feeling like, oh, maybe a little bit more like, oh, I needed to do this. And it was just something that I now know is to just, it doesn't, you just always have to trust your gut and do, work from a place of what feels right. So I would just say that would be my advice to everyone, is that even though sometimes you feel like you have to do all of these things to succeed, that to trust that if you just go the right way and trust your heart, that it will all work out.
I'm still taken aback by your story. I mean, like, no, like, absolutely, like, follow your gut, follow your dreams, go for it. And that is a story for the books. That is something you're going to tell forever. That is quite the story. But thank you so much for sharing that. I'm still like in, in shock over that. But I mean, so regarding the luckiest man alive, what are your future plans for this film and perhaps any other works that you have in the making?
Yeah. So the luckiest man alive, we have a great festival run. We've already been in a lot of festivals. We're so excited about Garden State Film Festival, and we have a bunch more after this. And we've even talked about turning it into a feature. We think it could be a lot of fun as a feature. But I'm also working on a feature film called Awaken Her. And right now we're getting the budget ready and pretty much going out to cast very shortly, hoping to film in July 2024. And that film I'm really excited about. It's kind of like a reverse coming of age story that's set in the plastic surgery world. And it deals with themes of, addiction, body dysmorphia. And we follow our protagonist, Catherine, as she is getting ready for her 20-year high school reunion, where she's going to have to face the original sin or trauma that kind of set her off into her addiction, body dysmorphia type spiral. And through that, she also journeys with her inner child, if you will, slash new friend that's kind of walking her through this journey. So I'm really excited about it, and hoping that we start casting very soon.
That sounds like an amazing story, something that I hope to hear about soon. Absolutely. Well, I mean, you know, you guys, you can check out The Luckiest Man Alive at the Asbury Hotel on Saturday, March 23rd during the 2:30 p.m. to 4:45 p.m. block. Carrie, thank you so much for joining me today. I feel like this has been such a fun interview with you. Like, there have been so many different like dynamics to this. I do hope to see you at the Garden State Film Festival this year, where there are 200 films screening across 8 venues, including hosting parties, panels, events, and more. Guys, get your tickets at gsff.org/tickets. I'm your host, Emily DeSimone, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Carrie, again, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Emily. Thank you, everyone. Hope to see you soon.